Welcome to On the Hill Podcast.
All right, and we're back on the hill.
Back on the hill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Episode, I don't even know at this point.
Yeah. We're losing count of the episode. We used to give specific episode numbers, but we're kind of switching things up. Some of the most of the podcasts we do, we don't have to edit. But we had a Petersburg firefighter on here. He used to be a police officer, and we're going to have to edit that one a little bit.
Evan Jones, yeah.
Yeah, he came on with a little bit of...
He got a little rated R at some point.
I know him.
You know Evan, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, so anyway, yeah. So,
So you can imagine how it went.
It was probably fun, though.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
It was fun, but we got to edit it. So we're privileged tonight, and it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
The Assistant Chief of Portsmouth, Assistant Chief Nelson.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Hill. So there's so much to talk about with you. I mean, we spent like 5 minutes in here talking. You met my wife for the first time and stuff. It was like, wow, there's a whole lot of info here. But if you want to tell everybody your full name and where you grew up and, a little bit about yourself as a child, we'll start with that.
Okay. So my name is Nashayla Nelson. I am originally from Mullen, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So a Southern girl.
That's the best.
But I am a military brat. So
Okay.
the Army took us all over. So I think I'm from a little bit of everywhere. So
That's pretty interesting.
Fair enough.
So the world is my home.
The world is you. Yeah, well. So as a military brat, I mean, were you born in South Carolina? Is that where you lived most of your life, or?
No, I was born there.
Okay.
We've lived some of everywhere from Kentucky, Texas, Tennessee. I graduated high school overseas, Okinawa, Japan.
Wow.
So
Oh, wow.
we've been to Germany. So been a lot of places.
So was your dad in the what military branch?
Both my parents went in the Army.
Wow. Okay, both of them. So how did that work out?
Both of them.
Did they meet in the Army?
No, they're high school sweethearts.
Oh, just like you and Mom? Yeah. Him and Mom are high school sweethearts, too.
So the high school sweethearts joined the military and stayed together. That seems they must have had a pretty close relationship.
Oh, well, they were married for 20 years. So they lasted a while. Now they're both remarried. But I had fun as a kid. I must say,
That's awesome.
every few years we moved, so I got the opportunity to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Make new friends and
Yeah.
kind of adjust to new places. The only reason I say that is because I taught at in Prince George for 5 years, and a lot of the kids went to Fort Lee, or what is now Fort. Is it Greg Adams now?
Yep, Greg Adams.
And I had, some of them would be like 2 months notice, be like, all right, well, I'm going to Germany.
Yeah.
And then they'd go off to Germany or go off to Florida or wherever they were. And those kids were always so just like with the flow. Like they just adjust to stuff.
You have to be.
Yeah.
Because you 1 minute you're here and then the next minute you're somewhere else. I think that it helped me a lot because I'm able to talk to anybody,
Yeah. I tell those kids too, they made friends like that. And they were just so easy to talk to, and they grew up faster than the other
Yeah,
students.
You got to be able to deal with people when your parents are in the military.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, because I've known, we've all known people either in our professional life or as adults or even as kids. I mean, even in this area where Fort Lee being so close, there are a lot of people in school, that I remember that were military brats. And I think some of them adjusted well and some of them, probably didn't.
Yeah.
So it's just anything else.
Oh yeah, I can definitely say that when I was going through it, I probably gave my mom a couple of gray hairs because I didn't want to go to certain places, Yeah. But now, as an adult, like wow, those experiences were priceless. And my oldest, my daughter, she says all the time, "Why didn't we do some traveling like that? Why didn't we move?" And I'm thinking to myself, well, I chose to not do that to you, and that's what you wanted. And she loves to travel now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I think voluntary travel is different than mandatory travel, particularly through your, developmental years and as you trying to, make friends and stuff. But you seem to turn out okay.
I think I did okay.
All right, so I'm gonna jump ahead. So you and I really never have worked together. I mean, we were in Petersburg together, and you probably don't remember. I don't know what year. Do you remember the year you transferred from Hopewell to Petersburg?
13.
2013. Yeah, so that's right when I was in the middle of that lawsuit with the city, and I transferred from the PD to the sheriff's office. But I did see in the parking lot, that back parking lot at the at headquarters, that gravel lot, the famous gravel lot. And you came in. I was nice. We knew you were coming, I guess, and heard of you. And I was like, but the only thing I said, and you probably don't remember this, I said, hey, welcome to hell.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I was asked back then, but I was like, welcome to hell.
And what did I say? I don't remember that.
You probably just, like you did, like you just laughed like, people with class doing it, like, okay, I'll stay away from this particular person. You're like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, welcome to hell. That place was hell, man.
Well, you know what?
Now, I'm not talking about the people that live in Petersburg or the city. I just meant the agency overall. But you might have had a better experience than I did.
Well, I found that there are problems everywhere you go because the common denominator is people.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
Well, I mean, you went from, so let's just back up for a minute. So it says in your bio that you were in the military yourself?
Yep, I joined the military. I was in the Army.
Wow.
I was just a reservist, though, but I was in the Army.
Hey, that's okay. One of my buddies, he joined the Marines and went straight to reserves, but he said that was some of his best times.
I had a good time, and I met a lot of interesting people that I still talk to today.
Yeah.
But I used it as a way to help fund my education.
Wow. Okay, so you joined the military as a reservist. Did you? So you graduated high school in Japan. Mm-hmm. So how did you end up in? Did you go to college in Virginia or somewhere else? And then how did you get into? How did you end up in Virginia?
Well, my dad was stationed at Fort Lee prior to us going to Japan. So we came back. So we made this area home. So my mom is still here to this day. She just retired from probation and parole.
Dang.
So this is home for us.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I started off going to school here, started off going to Virginia State, and then I ended up transferring out. And I got my bachelor's from Upper Iowa University while I was on a deployment. So,
oh, dang. Well, see, you and I have that in common, too. I'm a VSU alum.
I teach there.
Do you do?
Awesome, yeah.
Damn, see if you can give me a part-time gig, man.
What do you teach?
Come on. I teach Intro to American Law Enforcement and Intro to Criminal Justice.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Do you do something like summer classes or just... Are you full-time?
No, I'm an adjunct, so I teach part-time, but I do just regular fall and spring. I don't do any summer sessions.
Nice. Wow. That's pretty awesome.
I didn't know that. So,
it's fun.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, so, I mean, I got a crazy story because I went to John Tyler when it was formerly John Tyler. It's kind of like when you talk about, Prince, formerly the artist known as Prince. I mean, this sounds crazy, but I don't want to get down that road. But anyway, I was such a terrible student, so I had to go to it. Well, John Tyler back then was wasn't on a semester system. It was like a quarter system. So it was known more for its trades than it was for education. Anyway, then I ended up at Richard Bland, graduated Richard Bland with the VCU for 2 years, and then got out of college, just didn't graduate, and then started working. And I was like, okay, well, I did a temporary job at Fort Lee, like a summer temporary hire. And then I ended up, my wife she had a good position there at Fort Lee. We actually worked in the same place for a little bit, DECA, the Defense Commissary Agency. I don't know why I'm talking about myself. But anyway, long story short, some of the other workers there were like, hey, you got to go to VSU. You might be able to get a minority scholarship, right? Yep. So I was like, hey, well, maybe so. I mean, I knew about VSU. I mean, I grew up around here. I spent my whole life here. But I went in there and talked to them. They're like, yeah, that does exist, but it doesn't really exist. It's not something that we just have available for everybody. So I'm literally walking, I think it was Johnson Hall. Mm-hmm. And a guy started going, hey, you. And it was a military ROTC guy. He's like, hey, man, you want a ROTC scholarship? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, but I'm a senior. Really, I'm only going to be here for maybe a year. I'm transferring in a bunch of credits. He goes, it doesn't matter. We got to fill it so you can fill this spot. And that was with no military commitment or anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure the guy's retired by now. This is over 20-some years ago, but 94. But anyway, yeah, I got that scholarship, man, and so basically went to college here for free. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a good time for me. I mean, I commuted and stuff, but I thought it was a great school. So
yeah, it's still a great school. Big state. My mom and my sister, they're alums.
Oh, wow.
Big state.
That's awesome. How long have you been teaching there?
Going on 2 years.
Okay.
Yep, 2.5 years. Yep.
Damn. See if they can get my minority in there teaching.
Well, come on down.
Talk about me.
Come on
Yeah,
down.
my buddy was
I'm just talking.
my old roommate was a criminal justice major.
Oh yeah.
And he ended up, now he does kind of what you do. That was Marcus. He was actually on the podcast too, but he started out criminal justice, and COVID kind of messed him up, getting jobs and stuff. So he had some paths set, and then everything went virtual. So he kind of lost track of that, and now he does.
He's working on his qualified mental health professional certification. That's what I'm working on myself. But
QHMP. Okay.
Yeah. So he kind of want to get towards the prison system and stuff he's talked about before.
Dang. Run. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it is interesting. All right, so we always it's his job to keep me back on track, because
He likes to
I'll divert off. I'll go somewhere.
Like I said, he's seasoned.
Oh yes, seasoned.
All right. So okay. So you ended up at you went to VSU, transferred while on deployment. You got your bachelor's. Yeah, a lot of people end up in the military, end up staying here if they ever get stationed at Fort Lee. I guess it's a pretty nice area of all the different options, different communities. Colonial Heights, Petersburg, Hopewell, Chester, Henrico, so forth.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So okay.
Now, did you go? So once you graduated, you just moved right back to Virginia, or did you stay in Japan for a little while?
No, when I graduated, I was on the first thing smoking. Back to the United States. You heard, that was back in 1998. So, I missed home. I missed, I missed the United States. So when there was an opportunity to come back, we all came back. My mom, my little sister, and I, we all came back home,
So, so how was it? I mean, so when you went to school in Japan, was it like on a military base, or you in a Japanese high school?
Nope, it was on a military base.
No problems?
No, I enjoyed it. I played basketball, got to experience, 70-degree weather all year long.
Yep.
Crystal blue water.
Man.
The food, I'm a foodie. I like to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese food is.
It was amazing.
I mean, so did you live on base or off base?
We lived off base.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder
it was
how
right off base.
How did the citizens? I mean, how were you treated by the people in the community? I guess they're used to military personnel, families being there and stuff, or was it?
I'm sure that they're used to.
Yeah.
The military being there, and I was treated fine. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd be cool to be enmeshed in another culture like that.
Yeah, especially at that age too.
Yeah, because it's the age where you want to explore and do. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
I did not want to do it when it was the topic.
Right.
But now, when I think about it, that was an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, most people get to go somewhere to visit, but to live, because it was an awkward time for you, I know, being in high school, but still, that was, at least you're able to look back and appreciate the time. So.
Absolutely.
Now, once you got back to Virginia, was it like Army all the way? Was that your first choice, or was it?
Oh, no.
No?
I had said I was never going to join the military. You know how you say these nevers and what you're not going to do. And then it was like, man, I'm working these multiple jobs trying to pay this tuition. This isn't,
Right.
I don't know about this. Let me go talk to Uncle Sam. And so I did really good on the ASVAB. So I was able to get some good benefits out of it. And, sometimes you have to make decisions when you're looking at what your end game is, right?
That's right.
So,
Well, I mean, I think that's I don't know how. So if you're teaching now, you're probably seeing it is a shift in the culture, between, I'm 55. I don't know how old you are, but you said high school in 90, graduated.
I'm 43.
Damn, a baby, man.
I told you you're old.
I am old.
Nah,
but anyway,
he's not.
He's seasoned.
Seasoned.
But what I'm saying
we're not
is
going to
that,
use those words.
I found particularly with the recruits and teaching at the academy, or even when I was a cop working with people, is like, everybody wants instant gratification, but you just lay it out. The best advice people can give is, you may have to do things temporarily to obtain that goal later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You can, if you have something that you really want to do, if you set small goals towards it, and you reach those small goals, you'll eventually obtain it. It's like building a house. You have to lay some type of a foundation. And if you lay the right foundation, then you'll be able to build. Not saying that it's going to be a perfect journey or that, everything is going to go smoothly. Sometimes the inspector may say you got to rewire those lights again. But, it comes along with the path. But just staying tenacious and staying on the grind, you'll be able to get the things that you want. And it's a message that I definitely instill in my daughter.
That's right.
Hard work pays off.
It does. And that was good for you at that age to realize that. And
I had a mom that she stayed on my back. So yeah.
having that's a lot of kids don't have. I mean, we saw it firsthand, in Petersburg, I saw it firsthand. I spent my whole career there, but a lot of when people make decisions or make bad decisions, particularly as a parent, really it ultimately affects their kids more than anybody else.
Oh yeah.
And that's the sad part. And that's why I said Petersburg, a lot of that was a mess, but I mean, I saw the human suffering and understood it from day one, where I think, a lot of people just saw the city as a whole as just bad. And it's like, can you not see, what's going on here as far as, the economic depravity and all these other things that are happening, schools that are substandard, all these other things. It's like, okay, these kids they're the ones suffering at the hands of these people. And I don't want to preach on it, but when I mean the people, it's like the council. They would just make bad decision after bad decision. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I explain to the kids in my classes, because we talk about current events and we talk about things that impact them, right? But they always say, well, don't you need more training? And why don't the police do this? I say, well, I want you to think about something. You are able to vote, right? So if you use the power of your vote to pick people who have an agenda that you support, then they will in turn make laws, support bills that support the things that you support. Mm-hmm. And then, because all the police are, they are the enforcer of the law. They don't write the law. They don't pass the law. They don't vote for the law, right? Yeah. So you have to pick people who are going to write bills and who are going to support bills and pass bills that support your interests. And then the police will, in turn, enforce those laws differently. So I need you to go and vote.
Well, how do they respond to that?
They say they never thought of it like that.
Yeah, good. I mean, I think what a great message. I mean, because
I've known people. I mean, I'm 27 now, and I've voted every year that I've been able to vote. But I've known people who've never voted. And I think a lot of people growing up and kids, they see social media as a way to voice their opinions, and I think they feel power behind it. You hear keyboard warriors, that term used a lot. And you see a video on Twitter or Instagram and you comment, and maybe that's your gratification of the day, but that really doesn't do anything.
It changes nothing.
No, doesn't affect anything.
Yeah,
it just.
Right. I'm glad you get that message. I mean, and our kids, were raised. We voted in every single election, and I think I voted in every presidential election since I was 18, and at least all the local ones. At least for we made it a point, and our kids do the same. Like I remember, was it 2016? Yeah. But that election, my wife had a neck surgery that same morning, so we had to wake up at the crack of dawn so she could vote prior to having the surgery. That's how serious she was about it. I'm like, dang, you sure you want to do this?
But it's important. A lot of people don't realize it, and even the years where it's not a presidential election are just as important.
That's right.
So that's one of the things that my kids, they understand.
Good.
You're gonna go vote. My daughter. With her being at law school, I told her, make sure you get your absentee ballot.
Hold on. What now? Law school. Yeah. What? That's we're talking like royalty, man. This is.
Well, yeah, my daughter,
Pushed her in the right direction.
Well, she pushed herself. I just, try to encourage her.
That's awesome.
But yeah, she graduated from ODU early and decided that she wanted to go to Boston University for law school. Mom cringes because of how far it is away.
You ain't lying. Yeah.
But I've learned that it's only an hour and 15 minutes on a plane. So I can still get to her quickly.
Wow. How does she like Boston?
She loves it.
Man.
She's in her third year.
Man.
Classes start tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So,
Well, good luck.
yeah.
Boston,
Yep.
man. That's legit.
I'm proud of her. Yep.
Yeah, I got it. I'm sure you are. That's awesome.
Is this her first year in Boston?
No.
Or she's been there for
This is
third year?
This
Okay.
is year 3. So, bring it home, Kayla.
Well, yeah. And I don't know you, but I'm proud of you. So we need
that
good
is big
lawyers.
time.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let's get back to Mama here. So, yeah. So, all right. So, in the military, you graduate. You had part-time jobs. You graduate in Japan, come back to America, join the Guard. So, what tweaked your interest in law enforcement? Was that something you thought about in the past, or?
Well, my degree, my undergrad is in criminal justice, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. So I did armed security,
Okay.
and I'm like, man, these people are cursing at me, throwing stuff.
Yep.
I might as well be the real police. So,
There you go.
so
It went from there.
and I fell in love with it. So
Yeah. So did were y'all living in Hopewell, and that's what made you to think about Hopewell, or you just
well, I had applied at Hopewell and Petersburg at the same time,
beat down?
and Hopewell had ended up calling me back first.
Well, good. I mean, and you ended up in P-Town, but
Yeah, ended up in P-Town, and honestly, Petersburg is what gave me some of the bigger opportunities.
Yeah,
Worked
yeah.
on some cases that were, mind-boggling.
Yeah.
As a detective, they made me a sergeant and made me the first female to supervise narcotics and to supervise major crimes.
damn, I didn't know all this.
Yeah.
I was gone, dog.
Yeah, you were gone.
The legend had left the building.
The legend who I still teach my my executive staff, and we talk about living in Petersburg and social media policy.
That's right.
So yes, you are a legend. you.
You Google that name, that's
Yes.
what pops up.
So
Yeah. I can't go into the whole case, but everything in that document is not all of it's factual. Just check that out. Believe that.
So,
But anyway,
yeah.
it is. That's true. But some of it is. But anyway, so you came. So when were you hired in Hopewell? And you said you came to 07. So you were 6 years in Hopewell. Mm-hmm. And what did you just patrol officer the whole time, or anything else?
No, I did community police, and then I was a detective for a little while too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. And then when I went to Petersburg, like I said, they made me a detective in major crimes, and then
Right.
I became a sergeant and then a lieutenant.
Wow.
So they shuffled me around a good bit while I was there. So I was a lieutenant in every division before I left. And then I became the chief in Maxton, North Carolina.
Dang. So, all right. So we're jumping ahead a little bit. So you got your bachelor's, but while you were in Hopewell, you were working on your master's.
Correct. I have a master's in public administration with a concentration in disaster management
Wow.
from American Military University.
There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, so when you got to Petersburg, you already had spent 6 years on the job. Mm-hmm. And you get in there, they recognize, not only do you have the experience, you also have the education. So they give you these opportunities in major crimes, promotion to sergeant and promotion to lieutenant.
Yep.
Yeah, because a lot of times, I was talking about before the podcast, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I do make fun of Petersburg a lot, but of course I sued them, but a lot of my entire life is and the things I've seen and the way I am is because of my time there,
Right.
good and bad.
Right.
But I mean, you went to major crimes. You said you don't have to name names, but I mean, what kind of case do you think that the kind of, like you said, was mind-boggling? What kind of case was it?
I worked a quadruple homicide.
Which one? I mean, was it on
Harding Street?
Yep. Yeah. So those are the kind of things that was a tough case. Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's public knowledge, but what people don't realize is you get involved in these cases, I started off like child sexual assaults, and those were just, if you can't get, you're personally involved in those because you're dealing with children. You can try to separate yourself, but you can't do it. Same with a homicide because you're speaking for the people who are deceased, and you're trying to bring, honor to the families. You're trying to bring justice to the perpetrators. So it's nothing more important than that.
Right.
But it'll change you.
Oh yeah. You definitely have to find ways to enhance your coping skills.
Yeah.
And you got to have some emotional intelligence because you're dealing with some of the worst of the worst.
That's right.
So it changes you.
Yeah, and that, I did homicide too, and it definitely is. I can't think of. I mean, we cops get a lot of bad, hits, but unless you've been there and done that kind of stuff, you have no idea what it is to do it.
Yeah.
You're speaking for the silent, and it's not only that, you got to have your stuff together because one mistake can blow the entire case.
Yep.
And how long did you do that?
How long did I work in investigations? Probably 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
It was a while.
Yeah.
So going back to patrol as a sergeant, it was a change.
So you were in investigation. Did you volunteer to go back, or was it how did? Is it something you can talk?
Well, you know how it goes. You they give you an assignment. They say, hey, you're gonna be
right. Okay.
sergeant, and you got this squad.
Right. Okay. Cool. So if you want to be a sergeant, here's your squad.
Basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Because some of us got put back in patrol for like a punishment. I didn't think that was your case.
Well, no. But I'm
a promotion as
right. But a lot of people see patrol as a punishment.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, patrol is the backbone of a police department. And if you don't have patrol, then you can't get to anything else.
That's
so,
right. Yeah. I think people miss that. Yeah.
Without that, you wouldn't have investigations. You wouldn't have
anything.
Exactly. So for me, I took every transfer as an opportunity to learn.
That's it. Yeah, and you have the right mindset. I mean, that's where you are. That's why you're sitting where you are now. That's great. And I think, what else can you say? I mean, not only we're dealing with a female in law enforcement, which was unheard of when I started. I mean, there were maybe 1 or 2 females. I mean, I'm telling you, I know. I mean, I was there. And I started in 94. So, there were some females, but it not like it is now. And not only then, it was like a select few because there were only a few, but it just wasn't the same as it is now. So you're representing females, minority females, and you're out here, setting it on fire. So,
thank you.
That's badass. I'm sorry to cuss on your podcast, but just warn your friends. Man, I'm doing pretty good tonight.
Yeah, he's keeping it G-rated. It's good.
All right, so you're in there, you make lieutenant, and then you said you did all the divisions as a lieutenant. First female in charge of investigations.
Yep.
So a lot of first, and then you end up being chief down in what was the city?
Maxton, North Carolina. It's a small town outside of Lumberton.
Yeah, I remember like emailing you or something on the messenger, like, "Hey, congratulations!"
Yeah,
and Lumberton.
You sure did.
Yeah, I know the area down there.
Yeah.
We drive through Lumberton. Yeah,
when we go to
the beach and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really awesome.
Exactly where it's at.
So how did that feel? That's the top dog, man.
It was interesting because it was a small department. They'd had a female chief before, but they never had an African American female chief before.
Good.
So
another first for you.
So it was another first, but it was interesting. I had a good time. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about enhancing my time management skills and building relationships because the department was in a economically challenged area, and you want your people to have the best. So how do you manage that? I had to enhance my grant writing skills.
Yep, that's smart. Yeah,
and like we talked about networking, so I was able to be a mentee to some people who are at very large departments in North Carolina and even reach back to Petersburg.
Yeah.
Hey, my guys need computers. My guys need tasers. We need X, Y, and Z. I was making a laundry list. The worst you could say to me is no.
That's right.
But when I got finished, they had what they needed. You know what I mean?
That's nice.
And they were accredited when I left. They had a state accreditation when I left.
That's big time too.
Yeah.
Now, what was your connection there? Was it?
Absolutely no connection. I saw it one day and said, I'm going to apply for this. And my mom said, you're not going to move to North Carolina. I said, well, Mom, I'm just a lieutenant in Petersburg. These people are not going to hire me. But it'll be a good opportunity for me to work on my interview skills, for me to just, just see what it's like when chiefs go for interviews, right?
Next thing you know.
Boom. and I just say that sometimes you have to move out to move up.
Yeah, that's right. Out of your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that shirt we told you about says, if you're comfortable, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a motto we came up with and made some stuff with. But
anyway,
it is. Once you get comfortable, you particularly in this job, particularly this more applied to people. I'm not saying obviously it applies applying for jobs and moving up, but I was more about everyday officers on the street getting lackadaisical, getting comfortable, not changing their time, not changing the times they check buildings, parking in closer spots to the entrance to the store, all those things that put them at risk. But it could be applied, lifelong. So,
yeah, and that's never easy changing. You didn't really change careers, but you changed positions, changed your living situation.
Yep, it was a whole new, environment, a different culture, just everything that I wasn't used to. But we talked about before, being a child who was a military brat. Mm-hmm. That came in handy.
It had to come in handy,
Yeah, it came in handy, and it helped me adjust, and it helped me, work through some of the things that a lot of people probably would have had a problem with,
Yeah,
there you go.
You look at some chiefs go up in their hometown and move up in that. People know them, and in your case, probably no one knew you there.
No one.
And how did you go in? Like your first day, your first week, and say, "Hey, I'm the chief." Was it?
Oh, I was met with a lot of resistance.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I was met with a lot of resistance. One guy told me, "You look too young to be my chief. I don't know if I can follow you." I said, "Well, I can assure you that I'm definitely old enough. Have a child your age, but." I think I'm well poised for the job. And I said, it's not about you following me. It's about us working together to provide a service here.
That's right.
And, this is our first time meeting. You'll make a decision on whether you want to stay or not. But I want people who are going to be on this team because we have some work to do.
Yeah.
And you were going to stay no matter what.
And absolutely.
Yeah. So the answer to his question was, the ball was in his court.
Absolutely.
I mean, because think about it, like what you just said is like, okay, well, you can decide whether you stay or not. Not like however you feel about me. I mean, I hope I can provide you with enough, whatever, not respect, because he needs to gain you. You just don't want him to automatically just accept the position. You want to gain his respect, but in the end, if he can't, hey man, there's the highway.
Right, and that was doing. I did employee one-on-ones. So everybody got an opportunity to come in and talk to me. And at that point, we were talking about what are your goals?
Right.
What is it that you want to do? What is it, what do you feel like you specialize in? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what can I do as the chief to help you with your weaknesses? That was what that meeting was about. And then it turned into talking about me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I feel like in a town of that size, and a small department, you already Googled me.
Right.
You already, did your research to figure out who I was. But that's okay. We can still talk about it,
Right.
And we may have some similar experiences. You never know. I feel like I've never met a stranger. So I feel like we can talk. Mm-hmm. But we still have to have some type of a mutual respect. Even if you don't respect me as a person, you have to respect these Eagles that I'm wearing, right?
Yeah. So how did it end up?
He stayed for a while.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
he left on good terms, but he stayed for a while, and we actually ended up having a very good working relationship.
Good.
Well, that's good because you were pushing for their best interest.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that helped the overall picture too, because not in a selfish way, but they're probably pushing towards things that they believed in, and that made them believe in you more.
Well, I mean, I'm just. We didn't talk about this, so I mean, this is all we really don't plan the show. So I'm trying to. I mean, we're two different people. I'm like, more abrupt, I guess. But if I was in your position as an African American female, and I got some guy sitting there saying, I don't think you're old enough to be my chief, or I can work for you. However he said it. I mean, you may have been the bigger person, but I'm like, is that really what he's saying, or is he trying to say something else? You dig what I'm saying?
Well, he probably was, but for me, I'm already winning.
Well, that's right. Yeah,
I'm the chief, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, if you engage in certain stuff, then they've won.
Right.
They've beat you. So I believe in documenting things.
Yeah.
I believe in managing people when they don't want to be coached, counseled, or corrected.
Okay.
And then they will see themselves to the door.
Right.
Because if you start doing certain things, and especially for an African American woman, you'll be labeled as an angry black woman.
I got you.
You'll be labeled as all of these things. So even when my internal self is screaming,
yeah, because you're human, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta.
You can't do those things.
Well, good. Yeah.
So
That's smart.
So there were plenty of days where I screamed and yelled in Petersburg, right? But
Yeah.
As you grow, you have to change some of your behaviors.
Yeah, I agree. No, you did it the right way, and you're right. I mean, that was a great piece of advice.
I'm not saying it was easy.
No,
No,
you did it though. I mean, that's the thing. You just don't give people what they want, and they want that confrontation. They want that they want to see you, get your goat, is the old saying. But if you don't fall for it, kill them with kindness, and now what?
Yeah, because like you said, they lost at that point.
Yeah. And let me tell you, my mom, oh my goodness, she used to get an earful.
Yeah, we need to thank your mom too, man.
Yes.
Well, you already thanked her, I think. But anyway, we'll thank her too. Thank all the good mamas out there.
Yes. Thanks, Mom.
She go check us out. She's like, who is this bald cat that got you on? I feel bad because I shaved my beard on last Friday.
He's all self-conscious because he's baby-faced.
Yeah, even my wife's like, man, yeah, grow that back. So.
Oh my goodness.
Dang.
No,
Looks good. Looks clean. Look, matches your head.
Yeah. All right. So you.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I had to hear it all weekend. So. So then you go from the chief's position. Mm-hmm. Is that when you went over to the assistant chief position, or was there any gap in between?
Nope, there was no gap. I wanted to get back closer to home.
Yeah.
And I wanted the experience of being in executive leadership in a bigger agency.
That's right.
So Portsmouth provided all of that. And then, not to mention, I still am working on my PhD, and I got a second master's, and
Good God.
I do a lot of volunteer work too. I'm in Continental Societies Incorporated, and we do philanthropy work for kids.
Oh, wow.
So up to age 18, we provide scholarships. We do all types of stuff. If it helps with the betterment of the life of a child, that's what we do.
What's the name of that again?
It's Continental Societies Incorporated, and we're all women's philanthropy group.
Oh, wow.
And there's a Tri-Cities chapter.
Oh, good. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, this people don't know a lot about. I don't talk about my personal life much, but I was basically raised by my mom. I mean, I do have a stepfather, but early on, and the biggest mentor in my life was my mom. So I mean, I feel like and truly, the matriarchs of our family is a matriarchy. It's not not a patriarchy.
No, we got some strong women.
Yeah,
for sure.
So seeing you and saying that, when you say it's all women's group, I feel confident something's going to get done. I mean, I just there's no other way to see it. I mean, secretly, I guess people will look at us like, well, I knew from an early age, men don't run jack. they may think they do, but it usually, and there's always somebody behind them, hopefully.
Yeah.
Their wife or whatever.
Yeah, I so enjoy that group because we do so much. You know, we read to the kids, we pass out books, we do safety stuff. When the holidays come, we're buying Christmas gifts, we're doing turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot for kids, and I like it, you know.
Well, I mean, there's nothing else more important than kids to us. I mean that's just like, you know, when I was coming up, and once we had our kids, I mean, I knew my purpose in life then, which is my kids. There was no other substitute for that. There was nothing else, you know. I will say this though, and we'll talk about this with you too, is, you know, my wife was diagnosed with cancer. I'm trying to get through it. I hardly even talk about it, but you know, I think I knew at that what we've been through for the last 2 years. She's cancer free now, but I was like, I think for a while I thought like my kids were. That was it. You know what I mean? There's nothing more important than my kids, you know, because they, particularly when they were little. I don't if I'm trying to, this is coming out right, but, you know, as my kids got older and now they got their own lives, and your life, and as a couple, your life transitions. But then we were on a trajectory, and once you got cancer, that was, you know, put on hold. But then I think I realized again who the most important person in my life was, you know. I was like, you know, I think I told her, I said, I didn't think I could love you any more than I do, but I do. So it's crazy.
But that's why you married her, though. You have to think about it. The Bible says, you know, once you raise your kids up, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
They're going to make their own lives, and then it's going to be you and the person that you married.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
So for me, it brought me back full circle with my children as well. My son is 15. Hi, Jacob. And he's autistic, right? So it made me think about, well, what's going to happen to him?
You talking about
right?
what you talking about your cancer diagnosis?
Yes. So that was one of the first things that I thought about, like what's going to happen to him. But I have a really strong family unit. My sister is Jacob's caregiver. So of course, my family is the reason why I was able to, you know, fight cancer and not be stressed. They're the reason why I was able to take these jobs, all these places, because we're so close, so well niched together. My sister, she's always helped. And then my daughter, she said, Mom, you're going to be fine. I said, I'm crying. I'm like, I'm sick. And she said, Mom, you're going to be fine. I have no doubt. And I said, well, I just tell me that you guys will make sure that he's okay. She said, you're gonna be fine. And I Googled the type of cancer you have, and you're going to be fine. And Jacob is going to be fine. And she was like, do you want some coffee or not, Mom?
Wow.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
So what was your type of cancer? And when was the diagnosis? And you're cancer free now?
Yes, I'm cancer free now. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So mine is a blood cancer. Right. So I woke up one day. Well, while I was down in North Carolina, I was having a chest pain. So I went to the emergency room. And the lady said, well, we don't see anything. We may need to do some blood work. So she sent me to the emergency room. I waited for 3 hours in the emergency room. The lady does EG. She says, oh, well, you're not dying, so you can go back in the lobby and wait. So I come home for Christmas, and I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, day before Christmas. I'm like, it feels like somebody is stomping on my chest.
Yeah.
So I drive myself to the emergency room, and you know, when you have to make a decision, am I going to John Randolph or am I going to the standalone in Colonial Heights?
Right.
As I'm pulling out of my driveway, right? So I go to John Randolph, and the doctor, I don't even know her name. I just remember she was the pregnant doctor in the ER. She says, we're going to run every test possible on you. And the nurse says, we're going to take another sample of blood. We saw something, but we don't think it's right. So we're going to run it again, but you're going to go and get a chest x-ray. I had a mass in my chest the size of my fist next to my heart.
My goodness.
and they sent me to the Cancer Institute immediately.
Right.
So that afternoon, I was being seen by the doctor. So I did chemo.
Yeah.
I rung the bell. I wanted to break it.
Yeah.
But I'm in remission.
Good.
So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, your life story is amazing, and I'm speechless really, but I'm glad you're cancer free.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. I saw you at the academy. You were coming to teach one of the classes at the academy. I reached out to you to the recruits, and yeah, I didn't know. I think you had lost your hair then, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you had told me that, and I was like, and I think I had told you my wife had cancer too.
Yep.
Yeah, that was.
And I was following you guys ever since,
Yeah.
keeping an eye on your mom from a distance. Like, what are they doing today? Sending little messages. Tell her I said she's doing a great job.
You did, yeah.
she's tough.
She's tough. You know, it's funny. The kids never said what your daughter said, but I felt like they felt like I'm gonna get choked up here, but they felt like your daughter felt like she could be okay.
Yeah.
And it's
I
almost
never
like,
had a doubt.
It's almost like denial too, in a sense, though. You know.
But you know.
But I grew up with her being
Yeah.
tough and get us through everything.
Yeah.
So when I look back at it, I was like, yeah, she'll push through. And
But on the days when it's hard, it's good to have people who just give you that extra oomph that you need, that extra strength, because sometimes you don't want to get out of bed.
That's right.
Or you just, you're like, oh man, I got to go do this again. And to have people who are like, oh, you're going to be fine, and not giving you that room to have self-pity or to fall into depression and those things, it's important. And so it gives you that extra faith that you need. And even down to my former employees in Maxton, every week I was getting a postcard from them. They were sending me letters in the mail.
Wow.
And they were sending me like cards and little puzzle pieces, and I had to put them together to get the message that they were sending me.
Wow.
So, to know that you have people that are thinking about you from near and far, that does something for you.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, faith is it, man.
Yeah.
well, I'm thinking about that and the fact you're still doing volunteer work and helping other people just shows how big of a heart you have. And I know, I'm not sure how able your son is, but I worked at a Faison Center in Richmond when I was going to VCU, and that was a school for autism. And we helped kids after school, and from, I think our youngest was 5 or 6 all the way up to 24. And you saw literally the whole spectrum. I mean, the ones who were doing homework by themselves, but were kind of awkward around people. And then I had a 24-year-old who still couldn't speak, and we were trying to get him to do simple tasks. And that was one of my hardest jobs I ever had, but my most rewarding. So I always want to have a chance to talk to people who raise a son or daughter with autism. I know it's not easy.
No, it's not easy, but I keep saying that I have an amazing family, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because when we think about all the stuff we've talked about, working homicide, you don't know when that's going to happen.
That's right.
You have no idea. Working midnight shift, just having the job that we have, right? So it'll be 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm at my mom's doorstep. She's like, "You got to call out." Kids ended up with keys, and I was lucky to have supervisors at that time that would say stuff like, "All right, Nelson, go home and cook for those kids," right? So they would kick me out of the office. I would go home. We do a little bit of homework. I have some time with them just in case something happened.
That's right.
And stuff like that was it was invaluable. And then just having the help now and being educated enough to be able to advocate for Jacob at school. They give you those little blue books, and I read his, with all of his rights and all of those things.
Right.
So I can go and ask for him to have a one-on-one and say he needs to sit in class with, regular kids so that he can learn and so that he can be socialized at school. I understand that learning American history and about Jamestown Colony, because it's right down the street from us, is important. But I need for my son to be able to have life skills, be able to tie his shoes, count money, do the things that are going to give him independent living, and take out the things that he may never use, because some things we learn in school, but we don't use them in day-to-day conversation. And those are the things for kids that have special needs need to be,
right.
A
different type of education or modified education.
Yep. And so my boy is fun. He out of my 2 babies, he's the sweet one. He'll hug on you. He'll love on you.
That's good.
Yeah. And my daughter, she's sweet too. But he'll have you wrapped around his finger around your finger immediately.
Oh, yeah.
He's just, he's the sweet one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's what I loved about Faison when I worked there was we worked with the kids counting money, and some of the older ones we'd take. Kroger was right next door, so we'd go grocery shopping and have them pay at the register, and just those interactions they probably never had before.
Yep, they help.
Yeah, they help big time.
Yeah, things that, we say normal, nobody's normal, but we take that for granted. But yeah, I mean, those are the skills you got to have. I mean,
why was schools taught more of that anyway?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to write a check. I didn't know how to do taxes.
Well, we've been as parents, we've been saying that, and I think my parents said the same thing. Is like, well, they used to teach home economics, or not home economics, but economics class.
Yeah.
But they took that out. I don't know, man.
We could go on and on and on about what.
Managing money, and because as soon as you get to college, they're going to send you an application for a credit card, and the system, the cycle begins. That's what they do. So. Yep,
but he's doing well, and I'm a firm believer that kids outside of your site, they may have a totally different personality. He's so independent at school, and he's independent at my house. He gets to grandma's house, and
good.
Grandma does her thing.
That's good. I mean, that's great.
Oh, it's awesome. I couldn't take anything away from the relationship that my son or my daughter that they have with their grandparents.
Good. I mean, that's key.
Or their aunt.
And they're lucky. Awesome. They're lucky to have that, because a lot of kids don't even know their grandparents, or maybe they deceased, or maybe fractured relationships. So
it sounds like your daughter's pretty independent too.
Oh yeah, she's super independent.
That's cool. Yeah. All right, so you're down there in Maxton, right? Am I saying it wrong?
Yep. Nope. You said it right.
You apply for Portsmouth.
Yep.
Could you get that additional training at a bigger agency? So you apply, interview, and bam. So how's it there? How's it in Portsmouth?
Portsmouth is an interesting city.
Yeah. Can I tell you a little story so funny? Okay. So while we were teaching I was teaching at the academy, we had a lot. You know how that works there. It's a regional academy, so you have people come from all over to help teach. So you've had people from participating agencies and outside the agencies. But we had a guy, I think he was working for DMV maybe, or maybe juvenile justice or whatever it is. But anyway, I said, hey man, never met him, but I think we're teaching DT or something, maybe firearms. We're shaking hands. Hey, I'm Eric Liverman. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm at DMV now, but I used to work in P-Town. I'm like, P-Town? I'm like, hold up, dog. P-Town. I said, name some of the folks that you know. I said, well, did you know so-and-so and so-and-so? He's like, no. I said, well, name some of the people you worked with. But he wasn't talking about Petersburg. He was talking about Portsmouth.
The big P.
I was like, hold up, dog. That's what I told him. I said, nah, dog, P-Town is Petersburg, bro. I don't know about what this Portsmouth crap is, but come to find out, Portsmouth ain't no joke.
Oh, no. Pistol City.
Yeah. Yeah. So I took a law fit class there in Portsmouth at the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office. And they had to kind of watch the area we ran in, because we ran like kind of in a near that little training facility. Yep. They're like, don't worry, we have people posted. I wasn't worried because I was kind of used to P-Town, but yeah, it was a little sketchy.
Yeah, that's what they said when I first started. They were like, "Oh, you came from Little Maxton. You're gonna get an experience." I said, "This is a big Petersburg. I'll be just fine."
So is it kind of a lot like Petersburg?
It is. Only difference is that it's bigger. So demographics, crime per capita, all the same.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I mean, how were you received, or how are you received there now? As assistant chief. I mean, it had to be a transition. First, you were chief, going to assistant chief, and then.
Well, going from chief to assistant chief, that part didn't bother me. I never get hung up on titles.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like you can learn something from everybody.
That's right.
So that part definitely didn't bother me. The chief, and now we just got another assistant chief. So we have a great working relationship. The staff is great. We have some captains that have been there 20 plus years, 25, 26 years.
Man.
So they're a wealth of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I go to them and say, hey, teach me this or show me that if it's something that I've never seen or if it's something that is the Portsmouth way. And I always ask the question, well, why do we do it like this?
Right.
Because, in law enforcement, we'll say that's because we've always done it like that.
That's right.
So I believe in being a student of the craft.
Okay, yeah.
So.
No, that's super important.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is something we were just talking about last week. I was taking a peer support class at the academy at Crater, and they were talking about the fire department versus the police department. Mutual aid, okay? Mm-hmm. So fire department, they've had mutual aid forever. Like there's an agreement, it's a signed agreement, but it's also an unspoken agreement that, a certain amount of engines are out of the house in your city or county, the other city or county is going to compensate and move into or take your calls for service and so forth. Mm-hmm. The idea that, and the police department do it sometimes when it's like a Mayday call, or whatever. But for the most part, we don't work too well with other people. So you get in house, and it may have changed now. I've been out for a little bit, but essentially, like you said, this is the Portsmouth way. This is how we do it in Portsmouth. It's like, okay, and it may not be the best way. You're like, dude, what about this new stuff? So I mean, I'm not saying just Portsmouth. It's every department. Yeah. So you get together with another agency and you're trying to talk about, hey, like let's use the academy for example. We have different firearm instructors come from other agencies. Well, we like to teach them this way. We like to teach them this way. It's like, all right, guys, we got to come to some kind of agreement, or something simple like traffic stops. Yep. Argue about what side the secondary officer goes to. It's like, wow. I can't believe we can't figure this one step out.
and these are the people we give guns and badges to.
Oh yeah,
I say that all the time, like
because the ego.
Yep.
Yeah, the ego takes them down, man.
Yep.
I mean, I've been guilty of that too. I mean, as you get older, you get wiser, but early on, you think that's it. I mean, I always thought Petersburg that's it. That's the only way to do it. The hell with everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, of course, and I could probably say going to Maxton, I probably felt like Petersburg, because it was the most recent, right, was the way. Yeah. And, but like you said, it comes with, changing your thought processes and,
I'm sure Portsmouth has gained a lot having you too, because some of the guys have been there 20, 25 years, mm-hmm. and you coming in from Petersburg and then from Maxton, you have all this other experience.
Hopewell, yeah.
And Hopewell, yeah.
Yeah, and I just...
So you bring a whole nother point of view in.
Yeah, and I hope that they see it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like you said, sometimes we're a little hesitant to change or just to even being questioned about stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's working well.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long have you been there?
A year and a half. I started there in January of last year.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And what do you what's your daily, like day to day? Are you overseeing? Are you out on the streets at all? Or
no, I'm not out on the streets. Now that we have another assistant chief, I do logistics and admin stuff. So I'm in charge of training and recruitment. I'm in charge of fiscal services. Anything dealing with money, grants.
Good, yeah.
We have a community engagement unit. I'm in charge of them. I have traffic, mounted patrol. Like I have just about everything that is geared around fiscal and support type stuff. Yeah. So
I mean, that's a lot of agencies don't have that. So you might have, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier before the podcast. Is you have, and I'm not saying this about you, but let's think about other agencies where somebody's trying to get a grant written, or somebody's trying to get this other equipment needed, or whatever you can think of, but they've had no particular training in that area at all. And it's like there's a way to do all these things. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what you were talking about. So now you're working on your PhD.
Yes.
So here's somebody with a bachelor's, 2 masters. What was your second master's in?
It's a master's in philosophy in public policy and administration.
That's interesting. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I think that's cool. Because, anyway, we could talk about that for an hour, but that's so now you work on your PhD, and
yes,
for your PhD, you had to come up with a thesis.
Yes.
And then research it, and then
yes,
prove or disprove it.
Correct.
So is it true if your thesis doesn't pan out, you don't get your doctorate, or it could be either way?
It could be either way, because what you're doing is you're supposed to be filling in a gap and providing like positive social change.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're doing is defunct. It could be a foundation for somebody else to pick up your work,
right? Okay,
and do more later.
Good, because
gotcha.
Yeah, because if that wasn't the case, because I've heard somebody say otherwise, I was like, well, you would
have wasted all those years.
Yeah, that, and also you would gear your research or your stats to prove your thesis.
Right.
And then not even be ethical. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying I could see where people would start doing that. Like, damn, if this thing doesn't work out the way I said it does, I'm done. It's like, well, I'm going to kind of find people that agree with this so I can get this thesis through. But so what's your thesis on? So
organizational impact on police officer mental health.
Okay.
Organizational impact on police officers' mental health.
Yep. So looking at training,
the
organizational effects, like what policies, what training, because you got to think about it. When you are a newly promoted sergeant, we teach people how to write reports or check reports.
Yep.
We teach them how to do use of force. We teach them how to investigate the officers if they get in a minor fender bender, what paperwork to send up. But we never talk to our newly promoted supervisors about how to deal with their officers. And I'm talking about just engaging with them. Yep. You could have an officer that may come to work 15 minutes early every day. And then for the last week, they've been coming in right before roll call. Their uniform might be disheveled. That's a person you might need to have a conversation with. Is everything okay? And those are skills we don't teach.
Right.
I've found that there are a lot of departments that don't even have wellness policies. So we're talking about something that we think would be common sense, or something that we would think would be basic, but it's really not.
Yeah, it's not. And if you talk to most officers who retire or leave the profession, they'll say, you ask them, what happened? And they're like, admin. Mm-hmm. So they love the job. Somebody asked me, like, how long did you do? I was like, 21 years. I said, and I missed the job. I don't miss the other. This is how people talk. I miss the job. I don't miss the other bull. Right.
And the thing with that is, a lot of people will say that, and it's because they don't understand the why. When you get to a certain position, you have to make tough decisions. And then sometimes they're decisions that everybody's not going to agree with.
That's right.
But I think people would agree, or at least understand why you're doing certain things, if you just talk to them about it. If you just explain to them that, hey, the agency will be liable if we made this decision versus this decision. I have to look out for all 315 employees and not just the one.
That's right. No, I agree with that.
So sometimes I call it self-inflicted wounds. Sometimes we do more damage to ourselves just because we don't talk to people.
Yeah, I think that's key, or the other part of it is, this has no reference to you or Portsmouth or anything. I don't know anything about Portsmouth. Just from my past experience, you had people in positions that I know they had no training of how to be a supervisor.
Correct.
They had no interpersonal relationship skills. And, that was the detriment. It goes back to the very first training an officer receives outside the academy is that FTO training. Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to be a field training officer, they'll do well because they're interested. When I came out of the academy, I think there was like almost 20 of us. and they had to make people be FTOs. And now that I look back over it, and I've thought about this, years ago, is you can almost, tell the trajectory of the officer by the field training officer who trained them. If the person was sincere, they did fine. If the person was made to be the FTO, it almost ruined people's career. In fact, two of the people, they didn't make it more than a year in Pittsburgh. And what had nothing to do with what happened on the job, it was they had the worst field training officers. I mean, they ruined their mindset,
But it's true. Training is important. And it's one of the things that I harped on when I was, in Maxton. And it's one of the things that I don't have to harp on as much in Portsmouth because once we put it out there that one time, hey, you all need to go to training. You will be some of the best trained, well-educated people in a uniform. So they have taken that, they've taken those sentiments and they've run with it. And now if you get promoted in Portsmouth, you're going to do a new supervisor's training. And we have a series of training that everybody, no matter what your rank is, you have to do. And it's a year-long virtual supervisors training that you have to do. And it touches on a little bit of everything. And now we have partnerships with different schools. So if you want to go back and get your education, you get 40% off at Liberty. Or awesome. Regent University has a discount for our people. So we're trying to create this holistic officer through training, through traditional education, and now we have a full-size weight room. So we have a full gym. Any and everything you could think of is in this gym. We got it through an endowment from a citizen. Man. So we're working on a holistic approach to having quality people work for us.
Well, it's like you said, you're building a foundation.
Yes.
With whatever you do. And I think it does come from the top. And I think you always hear people say they fall back on fundamentals. But if that was never there in the first place, then
that's right.
They fall back on, and at that point it might just be fight or flight, where it's, they're falling back on, maybe like if like you said, when the guy came to your first day and said, you don't look old enough to be my chief. And if you would have just fell back on self-defense mode and attacked him in a certain way, then it wouldn't have gone like you wanted it to. I think you train these guys, men and women, to train them the way that you want them to act and want them to supervise, and it completely changes everything.
Yeah, you have to say the change is going to start here.
That's right.
You got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like running a marathon. You got to start running it. You got
to make that first step. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing. It's not a sprint. When you're trying to create change, it's a marathon. Yeah. It's got to be steady and consistent.
So I'm assuming you were helped at some level. The person who helped push these changes that you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, and I don't know anybody that's going to turn down training that's good training, and particularly the idea of even having a weight room, because that's the one thing you're going to find out is how many people, when it comes to physical confrontation, if you don't put in a little bit of that effort ahead of time, you're going to find out quick when you go hands on. Yeah. You know how that is. But I think that's huge. So I hope the people there take advantage of it.
They are. Of course, when you do anything, there are naysayers, right? And with the gym facility being in the same building where I work, I see people all the time. Good. Yeah. Day in, day out, around the clock, using the facility. And we're having more and more people sign up, that are going back to school, and they're, taking advantage of all of these things. And then the training, we see all of the training requests. Good. So I think that shift has started. Even, the FOP, they're even paying for officers to go to school. They're giving the officers scholarships. So you can get your traditional education in Portsmouth for very little to nothing.
That's good.
Well, it kind of takes the first step away. Yeah. Where they're maybe timid to do it, or I don't have time to drive to the gym. Yeah. It's like that's already there for them.
It's free.
Like the discounts there for them.
Yeah.
For going back to school. So you've
Yeah.
already taken
Yeah.
that step for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did my master's at Liberty, and I can't remember how I heard about it, but yeah, they've always given law enforcement, EMS, first responder discounts.
Yeah.
Oh, you had it too?
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't
they
realize
give that generally, but I don't think mine was at 40, so you guys might have worked out a better deal.
Well, the way they do the regular one is like 25%.
Yeah.
And then if you sign the MOU with them, they'll give 40%. And then all the chief has to do is authorize saying, yeah, you can extend this to anybody else that works in my particular city. And so other city employees will get like 15% off.
Wow.
So, and it's not like it's something that was a brilliant idea of mine. We did it in Petersburg. And I said, oh my goodness, I took that same idea with me to Maxton. So in Maxton, they had Liberty and Columbia College because the college recruiter came to Maxton and he's like, hey, I want to offer your guys. I'm like, oh, let's do it.
got
So
that
they
right.
can. And so that was one of the first things I did when I went to Portsmouth. I told the chief, I said, hey, listen, I think this is a good thing. It's another option.
Yeah, lying.
You know,
It's a great thing.
it's a benefit to working here with us.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And he signed off on
Sure,
it.
yeah. Anybody, if you don't sign for that, yeah, and it's a good education. I mean, I can speak for Liberty. It was not easy.
My sister got her master's from there, and she started working on her PhD. I've been trying to like nudge her to go back and finish it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got her master's from Liberty. She loved it.
Yeah, I loved it, man. It was a lot of writing. I'll tell you that.
That's what she said too.
But I definitely, became a smarter person. There's no doubt about it. Learn how to research, because when you research, you're learning, and then, it turned me on to want to learn more and more. So it's never too late.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, even if it's just going back and just getting a certificate or anything.
Anything, yeah. Like for Eric, he was a teacher. We wanted both our kids to go to college, and I remember him as a kid. Like, I want to be something mechanical or whatever. I'm like, do whatever you want, but you can get your education first.
Right.
And now he's in HVAC, so he graduated college.
Show me the money.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So,
It was a big jump. It was a complete 180.
but yeah,
I finished teaching in June. Then that next Monday, I started my apprenticeship, and
You probably love it, don't you?
I love it so much. It's so much fun.
I love it more because it's once you got there and work, particularly dealing with people, and you're not just dealing with the kids, the parents, the administration. It's so much to that.
And it taught me, teaching taught me more than, I learned a lot in college, but in the classroom experience, when you're up there in front of 30 kids and you have 4 classes a day and you're emailing parents and talking to admin and sitting in those meetings, you're like, am I allowed to be doing this right now? So
Right.
you put me in charge right now. And then you build up those, like you said, I've written a grant. You learn how to type emails and talk to
Yep.
people. So that's translated now where I see someone new every single hour. I mean, we're on calls nonstop. And through that, I've learned how to talk to people and deal with different things where I've seen guys who've done it for a long time, a mad customer or something. They just don't know, they can't deal with it in that moment. But I've learned, I've had kids going off on me and breaking up fights. And it's like, you just have to be the calm kind of, and stay in the moment, but also kind of try to resolve the situation any way you can. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, a lot of the times
Cool journey.
it's not about you. It's about the situation. It just so happens that you're there.
That's right.
And you're catching, the brunt of their frustration. So it's good that you found a way not to take it personal because,
Yeah, that's the hard part for a lot of young people, for a lot of people, particularly in law enforcement. They take that stuff personal. Like, dude, you got to see beyond this. Now, somebody punches you in the face.
That's something totally different. But before they go to the academy, myself and the other chiefs, we always give the new people, kind of like a little pep talk and just tell them, hey, listen, right now, this is your time to go and academically excel. You're being compensated. You're being paid to be a student, right? And then when they get ready to go to field training, we have another talk with them. Your field training officer is there to guide you and help you. But remember, you're seeing people on their worst day.
That's right.
They are not calling the police because they have solved their problem. They're calling you because they don't have the answer. So don't take it personal. Don't. And go to something positive. If you see some kids playing Little League, step out your car and watch them play, or something, something to separate you from all the negative stuff that you've been seeing during these 12 hours. You got to learn how to decompress. Coping skills are important, no matter what you do, whether it's HVAC and the 60-year-old lady is mad because it's 90 degrees in her house.
Oh, yeah. People are not happy about that.
Yes. So,
it's anything. And I know we said this a couple of times, but Dr. Greenberg, he said, I think it goes for any profession, but you eventually die the death of 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
And I think it's how you deal with them in that moment. And
how you deal with those
piece yourself back together.
Yep. Yeah. Hi, Dr. Greenberg.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. He's a good guy, man. All right. We're not gonna give him too. Don't want him to get too confident, too
cocky,
too cocky, man. Yeah. All right. So, I guess we'll wind this down. Anything you can think about? I mean, what is the future? So you're working your PhD. I know you got some other stuff going down.
Well, I have my own small business. It is called Center Solutions LLC. So
it just keeps on going and going.
It's a consulting business. So I've found that a lot of people are having a hard time with knowing what they want to do with their career or where they want to go. So I take time to help them, whether it's write a resume or if they need career coaching, I can prepare them for interviews. Teach them what classes they may need to take, whether it's for career progression. If they want to be a detective, I can tell you what classes you need to take, what you need to prepare for. So I do all of that. And then for businesses and organizations, I can do policy reviews. I've been on several accreditation teams and manage that stuff. I write grants. So it's a consulting firm, and if I can't help you, I have a network where I'll refer you out to somebody who can.
Wow.
That is really awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
It does sound fun.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we put all this on when this will be on YouTube and Spotify. He had his little spill at the end of the show, but we'll make sure all that's on there for people to check it out too.
Okay.
So it's called Center Solutions.
Yes.
LLC.
Yes.
And do you have a website for that?
I have Instagram for it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
website will be coming soon, but Instagram for now.
No,
think about this:
that's
PhD, awesome. Mother, because you're a mother too. Your daughter's in law school, but then your son, and then assistant chief. Or am I saying that right?
Yep.
Deputy chief. We always said deputy chief, but all right. Yep. But everybody has a different name.
It's the Portsmouth way.
Portsmouth. Then you also got your own consulting firms. Like wow,
yes.
Multitasker, man.
Well, you know what? I just like to stay busy, and I'm looking at the future, right? Mm-hmm. So 5 years, I'll be ready to lock down this VRS.
Okay, so all right, so that's your goal, 5 years of retirement from the from law enforcement, maybe. I'm not trying to speak for you, but
well, that is my goal, but I won't be old enough, so.
Well, but I mean, there's other things to do in the interim. So
correct. So my goal is 5 years. By then, Center Solutions will be doing everything that I want it to do.
Right, exactly.
And I'll still be teaching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing people don't realize. I mean, first of all, I always tell this to everybody is like, and this is the last time I counted, 11 people I retired with. 7 of those people are dead.
Yep.
Yeah, so only 4 are left. And, it's through, 2 through suicide. The rest are just, one person had a stroke and a heart attack, another person a heart attack, and 1 cancer. I mean, I could lay it all out, but the point is this job is stressful. Aside from just life stressors, this adds to it. So, all this wellness stuff you're helping put in place at Portsmouth is laying the groundwork for people to have a career during their law enforcement time and outside law enforcement, and also when they retire.
Right.
Because there's more to this than just that,
Exactly. And the thing is, you can't just be one-dimensional.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like you just said, think about the people who who've retired and come back, and you're like, man, you really need to be doing something else.
Right.
So I don't want to hang my hat on just law enforcement. So I'm looking towards the future, and like we talked about earlier, small goals, small attainable goals, so that by the time I get to these big goals, they'll be easy. It's like eating an elephant. How do you do that?
One bite at a time.
Okay, so that's how I do my goals.
Yeah, I used to tell the recruits, make that deposit, man. Like a
Yeah.
bank account. Everything you're doing, you're making a deposit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, you're a prime example. You're whatever you build up in a certain area, I think they're scared to leave because of relationships and things they built up, but your knowledge stays with you.
Yep.
No matter where you go.
Can't take that from
You
you.
can't take that away.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Yeah, and and you're right. People retire and they come back and they're doing this stuff, talking about law enforcement. It's like, man, there's so much more to this world than that. And really, the best way to ensure you can do something else is some kind of education, whether, like you said, certificate, education from a college, whatever. You can learn a whole new trade. You can learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because you can get out of retirement. Literally, you got to be 50 years old and 20 years of service to draw the Leo. It's at 20 years. You got to serve 25 years to get that. Basically, it's like a 1.75 multiplier. You get basically half of your best 3 years. But if you do it at 20, you're only taking off 10% of that. If you do it like me, 21 is only about 8% less per the VRS retirement. But the Leo is the same.
Mm-hmm. And that's what people have to understand. You got to make the decisions that are best for you. And I know for me, I ascended fast. So where else is there for me to go?
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I want to do something that's going to fulfill me.
Right.
I like to travel. I like to do, I'm a foodie, like I was telling y'all earlier. So why not be able to have my own business, travel, consult,
And have that pension
and
come
eat and have that check. Yeah.
Have that pension
That's
come in
awesome.
and eat, and then have your own business.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, what else is it? What else is there, man?
Right.
Yeah, and that kind of leads in. I always ask every guest this, but if you're
Well, ask motivation and then
that's what. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got it, man. So that leads right into it. When you're, I don't want to speak for you, but your own business, you teach, both your kids. What's your daily motivation when you get up every day?
Well, when I get up, I ask God to just give me sound mind and sound judgment to make the right decisions from a pure place. And I have a scripture that I keep in my office. It's Psalms 46:5, which is, if God is within her, she will not fail. So I feel like you may not always be perfect and you may not always do things right. But if you try and if you learn from the mistakes and the things that you didn't do so right before, you can be a better person. So I try to be better today than I was yesterday.
Bingo.
Well said. I think everybody should live that way.
Yeah. And now we got our quirky question.
Yeah. So, if you were in the hot seat, if you were in your death chair, your death penalty, what would your final meal be? This tells a lot about somebody.
My final meal.
Now, we don't have death row anymore, but if you were on that, we ask everybody that, by the way. So.
Could it be like a smorgasbord of stuff?
Yeah, it's whatever you want.
And the reason why I asked that is because I would get I have an aunt that makes some amazing macaroni and cheese. I would need that macaroni and cheese from my aunt. I would need for my daughter, when I was going through treatment, she was making me these smoothies. I would get her to make a smoothie. It would be random foods, but it would be something from my family members, people who are the closest to me.
Wow. That says a lot. Especially because you said you're a foodie, so.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. That's awesome. You think anything else you want to part with?
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks
I'm
for
blown
coming.
away, man. I'm
fun.
blown away by all the people we listen to a lot of people's stories. That's really what On the Hill's about. But
Just telling stories and learning about somebody. And
Well,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And we want people to, go back and as your business goes on or whatever. Hey, you want to know a little bit about me? Check out this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and think about some guests. Some people you might know that want to come on.
I sure will. I'll send you some people. Yeah. I know some great people.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from them.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I have some friends out there who have businesses and do things for like youth. One young lady has a mentoring program. It teaches kids self-confidence. And then they have a dance program attached to it.
Oh, wow.
They're great. And another friend, he was once in law enforcement, made some bad decisions, became a felon, and now he's got all of his rights back. And now he's doing workshops and just started a nonprofit to do a reentry program.
Dang.
And he teaches other people how to get their rights restored. And so I have some
awesome.
people that might be.
That'd be cool. It might help
It'd be
them.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a lot of fun.
I mean, coming on the show, I mean, it's really about, we just like doing it. But the other part is, I mean, we just do it. I mean, we don't gain anything from it. I'm saying there's no
Right.
We just like to meet people. I said we gain the knowledge of other people. That's what we like. So,
But I think it's a platform for people to just be able to talk and learn and just have amazing people on that you can see different perspectives and stuff. Because I think just from watching some of the podcasts, I didn't know that. Or,
that's right. That's right.
So, yeah, I think that it'd be fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah, we might have to have you on as a regular.
I'll be more than happy to come back. Just let me know when.
I feel like we just touched the surface, so I don't know.
Just let me know.
Yeah, we'll go delve deeper into the mind of Nashayla.
Let me know.
Never called you that by the first name. So.
I know.
Nelson.
No. I know. And I tell people all the time, I have a first name.
Yeah, law enforcement. Yeah, I mean, the last thing. So I used to work with a guy for like almost 15 years. And I only knew him by Google. And one day somebody's like, "Hey, Tony," and we're standing there, and he finally turns around and he's like, "Yo."
You're like, who?
I said, "Tony."
Who's Tony?
I said, "Who the hell is Tony, man?" And I made fun of him forever after that. He hated me after that. But I was like, "Bitch, you ain't no Tony, man." Oh, we have to cut that part out. Maybe not. All right, let's wrap it down. He got to do his little.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say? Was that good?
Just thank you for having me. Oh, hi to my beloved sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
To the ladies of the blue and white.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm glad you didn't forget that.
Oh my goodness, that would have been terrible.
Yeah, think again. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
I was going to ask you about that earlier. I forgot. So I knew you were a sorority. I didn't know which one, but
Yes.
that's a big deal. Yeah.
And we'll have some future guests coming on soon. And and send us those names. And
Just send them to me and I'll make sure you got them.
yeah, that'll be awesome. And I'll put a link to your Instagram in the bio, so you guys can listen on Spotify, Apple Music, and watch along on YouTube. And that's it. Welcome, or not welcome. Thanks for being on the Hill, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to On the Hill. Like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. See ya.